Let's speak to Philip Turle then, who is in Evian for us at the start of this G7 summit. Philip, Iran is, of course, the story that has diplomatic momentum going into this summit this week. But what about Ukraine? We just heard there from Zelensky. What do you think might be achieved on the Ukraine question at this summit?
Well, as you just said, Volodymyr Zelensky is due to come here to Evian tomorrow to take part in the summit talks. I think the pressure will be on the delegates here to show increased strength around the Ukrainian leader and to show that they are unwavering in their support for Ukraine in the face of these recent attacks we've seen in Ukraine by the Russians and also the retaliatory attacks by the Ukrainians into Russia. I think all the delegates here are pretty keen to show that they are supporting Volodymyr Zelensky. The big question remains over what the attitude of Donald Trump is going to be when he gets here later on this afternoon. Will he be brought back on board? Will he distance himself more from Vladimir Putin, with whom he seems to have a much more cosy relationship than many other world leaders? I think that is one of the questions that will be on the discussion table over the next 48 hours. And of course, the other important point to underline here is what Volodymyr Zelensky was just talking about, and that's to say the idea of negotiations to end the war, how that will take place, how they will bring Russia on board to do that, and how they will manage to negotiate some kind of ceasefire with the Russians without conceding anything to Vladimir Putin. Those are the issues that the delegates here are keen to discuss once Donald Trump arrives later today. Donald Trump, who's going to meet with the French president for one-on-one talks and then be guest of honour at a dinner which is due to be held later tonight with all the members of the G7 here in Evian-les-Bains.
So Donald Trump arrives about 5 o'clock then, Philip, and there does seem to have been quite a bit of effort by the European leaders attending, not least Emmanuel Macron himself, to please Donald Trump and to get him to stay at the summit, because at the last one he actually left early.
Well, one of the measures that has been taken by the French president, who's wheeled out what France does best, and that is to organise a dinner, not here in Evian-les-Bains, but at the Chateau de Versailles, for Donald Trump to pay tribute to the 250th anniversary of the creation of the United States. That's due to take place on Wednesday evening, which means Donald Trump will have to stay in France until then and hopefully carry on participating at the G7 summit. It's well known that Donald Trump doesn't like summits like this. He finds them boring and a waste of time. As you said, he quit the G7 summit in Canada last June, saying he had more important matters to deal with the Middle East back at the White House. So I think there's a feeling here that with the announcement of this agreement with Iran, this may be enough to make Donald Trump want to come here and to appear to be the man who has championed, who's won the deal with the Iranians, and someone who therefore will play against the other countries who doubt his ability to do that, and that will put him in a position of strength, and maybe that will be a way of keeping him on board at this summit. But all these are questions, of course, no one can answer until Donald Trump gets here in about an hour or two from now.